Sometimes I wonder if I invented the library, if the memory of it is just a construct I built later to survive the cold, a place to retreat to when the damp of that cellar in Lyon became too much to bear. But I can still smell it, the distinct, dry perfume of decaying paper and floor wax, the scent of 100 years of quiet thought. I was 21, and I thought I knew everything about the world because I had read about it in books. I remember the heat of the debate, the way the afternoon sun slanted through the high windows of the university, catching the dust motes dancing in the air. We were arguing about the fall of the Roman Empire, about the inevitability of tyranny, about the moral obligations of the citizen. It was all so abstract, so clean. I was fierce, leaning across the oak table, my voice rising with the certainty of youth, citing Gibbon and Rousseau as if they were personal friends who had whispered the secrets of history into my ear. I felt powerful. I felt safe. I thought that intellect was a shield, that words were weapons, and that if you just articulated the truth clearly enough, the world would have to listen. God, I was a child. That memory dissolves not like a fading photograph, but like a film strip burning in the projector gate, bubbling and melting away to reveal the black, grainy reality behind it. The smell of old paper is replaced by the cloying stench of mildew and unwashed wool. The warmth of the sun is gone, replaced by a damp chill that doesn't just sit on the skin, but burrows into the marrow. I am not in a library. I am in a cellar beneath a butcher's shop in occupied France, and I am not debating the fall of empires. I am waiting for a radio to scream. The air down here is thick, heavy with the smell of rotting potatoes and the metallic tang of fear. It is a specific kind of fear. It isn't the adrenaline-spiked panic of the battlefield, the way the soldiers talk about it. It is a cold, sickly thing. It lives in the stomach. It is the fear of the knock, the fear of the heavy boot on the stair. My hands are the only part of me that betray it. I look at them now in the dim light of the single lantern, and they look like strangers. They are stained with charcoal and dirt, the nails bitten down to the quick. These are not the hands that turn the delicate pages of first editions. These are the hands of someone who knows that pain is not abstract. I sit at the small, rickety table, the wood scarred by knives and cigarette burns. The radio set, my B2 unit, packed into its innocent-looking suitcase, hums with a low electric tension. I have the headphones pressed so tight against my ears that the leather digs in, sealing me off from the dripping of the pipe in the corner, but not from the sound of the truck passing on the cobblestones above. I can feel the vibration of it in the soles of my feet. A patrol, heavy, slow, predatory. I stop breathing. It is a reflex now. The truck slows, the engine grumbling like a dying beast, and I stare at the door, calculating the seconds it would take to swallow the cyanide pill sewn into my collar versus the time it would take them to break the lock. The truck moves on. I let the air out of my lungs in a shuddering gasp. Then the signal comes. It isn't a voice. It is a rhythmic tearing of the silence, a series of tones that my brain translates before I even write them down. My hand moves across the pad of paper. I am trying to apply the logic of the classroom to this. I tell myself it is just a translation exercise. Professor Higgins is watching over my shoulder, checking my syntax. If I get it right, I get a mark. If I get it wrong, but the pencil snaps. The sound is obscenely loud in the quiet. The charcoal shatters under the pressure of my grip, a jagged black scar across the page. I stare at it, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. This isn't a classroom. There is no Professor Higgins. There is only the code and the terrifying reality of what it commands. I pick up a fresh pencil, my fingers trembling so badly I have to use my other hand to steady them. I force the discipline back into my mind. I am a leaner Vance. I have an eidetic memory. I speak French better than the French. I can do this. I finish the transcription. The message lies there, innocent in its brevity, devastating in its import. The Michelin factory, Clermont-Ferrand, Sabotage. A wave of nausea rolls over me. I know what this means. It isn't just sneaking in and cutting a wire. It means fire. It means chaos. It means people, workers, perhaps even the ones who smiled at me in the market, caught in the blast. And it means I have to leave this hole. I have to go out there into the cold, sharp night where the Gestapo wolves are hunting. The refusal rises in my throat, a sour bile. I want to stay here. I want to curl up under the moth-eaten blanket and pretend I am back in the library, arguing about Rome. I don't want to be a hero. I don't want to be brave. I just want to be invisible. But the training takes over. It is a cold, mechanical thing that overrides the panic. I strike a match. The flame flares, blindingly bright for a second, smelling of sulfur. I hold the corner of the message to the fire. I watch the paper curl and blacken, the orders turning to ash, the words disappearing forever. The flame licks at my fingertips. A sharp bite of heat, but I don't drop it until the very last second. The embers die on the stone floor. I am not a student anymore. I stand up, blowing out the lantern. The darkness is absolute. I have to go. Marie LeBlanc, born in Lyon, 1921. Father died in the Great War. Mother works as a seamstress. Terrorist, saboteur. Orion compromised Tuesday. Network burned. Abort, don't look tick. Wampasur, a Basque smuggler with eyes like flint. In a shepherd's hut that smells of wet wool and sheep dung. He does not ask my name. I do not ask his. We are just shadows moving through the snow. The crossing is a physical dismantling. The air is so thin it feels like swallowing glass. The cold is a living thing, a parasite that burrows into the marrow of my bones. We climb sheer faces of ice where a single slip means a silent fall into oblivion. My boots are shredded. My feet are numb blocks of meat I can no longer feel. I hallucinate. I see the woman with the bare foot walking ahead of me in the snow. I see my contact waiting on a ridge, holding the map. I walk through them. They are ghosts. I am still alive, and that feels like a sin. We cross the frontier in a blizzard. There is no signpost, no line in the snow. Just the smuggler stopping, spitting tobacco juice into a drift, and pointing down into the valley. España, he grunts. I stumble down into the trees. I should feel relief. I should feel the soaring joy of survival. I feel nothing. I am hollowed out. A husk of skin and bone wrapped around a core of ice that will never melt. I have carried the intelligence back. The factory is gone. The mission is a success. But the Alina who left London, the girl who believed in the nobility of resistance, who thought patriotism was a burning flame, she died in a bakery in Lyon. Decades have passed. The calendar on my wall says 2024. Outside my window, London is gray and busy. A city that has forgotten the sound of sirens. I am an old woman now. My hands, spotted with age, rest on the table. They are trembling again, just a little. I pick up the object sitting in front of me. It is not a gun. It is not a medal. It is a baker's peel. A flat wooden shovel used to slide loaves into an oven. I bought it at an antique shop years ago. I keep it to remind me. I was a student once. I spent my youth in libraries, devouring books, memorizing facts, believing that knowledge was the highest virtue. I thought the world was a puzzle that could be solved with intellect. I thought that if you learned enough, you could fix anything. I was wrong. War is not a puzzle. It is a machine that eats humanity and spits out history. I learned that knowledge is not just power. It is a burden. It is the terrible weight of knowing that the man you left behind was the price of the victory you claimed. I survived because I was willing to do the math. I survived because I could look at a human life and see a variable in an equation. The world calls us heroes. They write books about our bravery. They film movies where we outsmart the Nazis with a quip and a smile. They do not show the flower in the hair. They do not show the vomit in the gutter. They do not show the choice. I put the peel down. The wood is smooth, worn by the hands of someone who made bread, who created life. My hands destroyed it. I look at you now, you listening to this voice in the dark. You think you know what resistance is. You think it is a flag, a slogan, a march. Resistance is the silence in the bakery. It is the ability to kill the part of yourself that wants to save your friend, so that you can save the stranger you will never meet. It is the shard of glass in your heart that twists every time you close your eyes. I am tired. The library of my mind is closing. The books are gathering dust. But this story, this ugly, small, quiet story, it cannot be lost. It cannot be smoothed over by the polish of history. This memory is a shard of glass I carry. Help me pull it out. Subscribe to keep this history alive.